Ladies and gentlemen, morning from Vietnam. My name is Tran Thi Ngoc Lien. Currently, I'm working at Hải Phòng University of Management and Technology. Today, it's my great honor to make my presentation. I would like to share with you about my research findings about stakeholder perceptions of extracurricular activities at the tertiary level in Vietnam. As you may know, extracurricular activities has been considered an essential part of a well-rounded development. These activities are believed to benefit both the schools and its citizens as well. For the school, it can help to improve the learning program, enrich the school culture, and to better the school curriculum. For the latter, students can have chance to get involved in real-life creative problem-solving scenarios, improve their creativity, productivity, and well-being. And eventually, of course, they can better their personal development and their academic achievement. In Vietnam, the Ministry of Education and Training issued Decision number 72 in 2008, regulating the organization of extracurricular activities. And this indicates the involvement of administrative bodies in this field. However, the impacts of ECAs on students and their institution have not been fully studied and well documented. And there's a reason that encouraged me to do this research. So exactly what extracurricular activities really are and why all the stakeholders were interested in this. As you may know, extracurricular activities are programs outside the regular school curriculum or life outside school. They serve an important function of supplementing the regular school curriculum, and they may consist of different fields such as aesthetics, community services, employment, art, hobbies, academic and non-academic clubs. The other researchers all believe that extracurricular activities can help to improve student development and academic performance. They can do that because they can help to engage the student more and improve their well-being. These activities also help to deter antisocial behavior among students at higher level of education. And this is the findings from Ulmers, Bumpers, and Harris 2020. The participation of a student in extracurricular activities can help to lower the dropout rates. Within this study, we would like to examine the impacts of extracurricular activities on 4 different aspects of the students. First one is academic performance. The second one is about skill development. Another one is about student self-efficacy and student engagement. And the final one is about the employability. And as you know, the previously public studies all agree on the positive and negative correlation between ECAs, extracurricular activities, and student performance, academically and non-academically, their engagement, their self-efficacy, and employability. For this study, we would like to examine the stakeholder perceptions of ECAs in some university in Vietnam, exactly 4 universities in Vietnam. There are 3 main stakeholders involved. They are students, teachers, and administrators. We do expect to have a better insight into what the stakeholders really thought of the impacts of ECAs and how it may have impacts on different stakeholders. In order to achieve the aim and objectives of this study, we have one research question. It is, What is the perception of students and teachers and administrators on the impacts of ECAs in some university in Vietnam? There are totally 110 participants, including 80 students, 20 teachers, and 10 administrators. We have 2 different survey questionnaires, and informal interviews were also organized to get data for the research. SPSS 2.0 were used to help analyze the collected data. This is the first questionnaire with 2 different parts. The first one is to concern ECAs and the learning program, the level of participation of the student and the significance of ECAs in their study life. The second part is about 50 statements that have to examine the perceptions of both students and teachers on the employment of ECA extracurricular activities, on student academic performance, skill development, student engagement, self-efficacy development, and employability. The second survey questionnaire is to examine the administrators' perceptions of ECAs. First of all, it is about the obstacles for the deployment of ECA at schools. And the second one is about the benefits. This is the results from the studies. First of all, it is about the student and teacher perceptions of ECAs. Statistical findings show that nearly 3/4 of the students agree that ECAs were related to their learning program, but the level of relatedness were different. There are more teachers who agree with this than the students, and you can see up to 20% of the students did not realize whether ECAs were related to the learning program, but only 10% of the teacher had that kind of opinion. Turning to the relationship between level of ECA participation, about level of ECA participation, there are similarity between students and teachers. Both of the students and teacher agree that the students are not really active participants. Moving on to the ECA significance, there are similarity between student and teacher perceptions. Most of them thought that ECAs were really significant to the student and their study as well. However, the degree of agreement was a little bit different. Looking more closely at the statistics collected regarding the student and teacher perceptions about the impacts of ECAs on student academic performance and skill development, we can realize some differences. The first difference was about whether science and theory could be learned through ECA participants. Most of the teachers believed in this achievement, but their students were not quite sure about it. Another dissimilarity is about the potential of the student to raise the exam scores and GPA. It is contrary to the first item. The students were quite sure about this. However, the teacher opinion were in between. Teacher did not believe that their student could improve their scores, academic scores. Furthermore, teacher perceptions of the impacts of ECA on the student skill development were not similar to their students. The teacher did not believe that the student could improve various skills from the participation in ECAs. Their students, however, did believe. They also added that they could improve their communication, problem-solving skills, the ability to settle the conflict, and to gain cutting edge in an argument. I would like to move to the next aspects, student engagement and self-efficacy. As you can see that most of the students considered that engagement in ECAs can promote their sense of discipline, their self-regulation, leading to the conformance to the university regulation and expectation. And also it have to improve the sense of belonging and connectedness to their institution. However, the student believe that ECA brought about chances for the interaction between peer and teachers. And through this, they could better their relationship and feel more engaged. Their teachers share the same opinions with the students. They strongly agree that student engagement could improve their engagement, and through the possibility of promoting students' sense of discipline, peer of teacher interaction, and sense of belonging and relatedness, the student feel more engaged. However, there are some differences too if you have a look at the statistics. The first difference was that students could self-regulate. However, their teacher did not agree. Another difference is about the student willingness to cope with difficulty and challenges. While the teacher turned down on the possibility that the student could do this, their student did not say no. However, they were not, quite sure about that. Regarding self-efficacy, all the student participants reached a consensus of their ability to control their behavior, to manage their learning activities, to do communal tasks, to engage in professional development. Their teacher, of course, share the opinion with their students. However, there's one point that's different. That is, the teacher disagree that their student can improve academic efficacy. The students concur with each other about the ability to manage their learning tasks. Their teacher, however, disagree. Let's move on to ECAs and its relation to employability. Most of the students agree that they could expand their social circles, create new network with not only their friends, their teachers, but also the professionals and those who came from the industry. Partaking in ECAs provided them with opportunity to get the industry insight, to put their future career into perspective. Similarly, they also agree that they could practice different skills and improve their personality, and these are really good for their future career. However, it is ridiculous that the students did not agree that they could change their behavior patterns and habits for better. And they also stated that getting involved in ECA did not mean they want to make themselves to become stand out, become likable. Their teacher shared the same opinion. However, there's one point different. That is, the teacher did not agree with the one perspective, that is skill development and personality improvement. They also did not agree with their students about the habit change. Let's move on to the statistic findings about administrators' perception. First of all, that is about the obstacles. As you can see, that is, there's a kind of a big difference in the statistic collected, showing the disagreement among administrators from different universities. If you have a look at the table, we can see that the largest SD was 1.23, right? And the smallest SD was 0.48. So that's the big difference. The administrators have different opinions about the impacts of TAM, employers, local authorities, and also that is about the school mission and vision. However, when it turns to the benefit of ECAs, administrators from different universities had the common opinion. They all agree that ECA brought about numerous benefits to the university, from increasing the sense of relatedness, student satisfaction, promote the sense of discipline, lower the dropout rate, increase the attendance, upgrade the student reputation. And the very new one is to upgrade the institution credit rating. So from the findings, statistical findings, I mean, we can have some insight into the subject. First of all, that is, there's some difference regarding student and teacher perception. It is shown by the big gaps in the data collected regarding the connectedness between ECAs and the learning program. There's also a contrast between the perception of the teacher and the student regarding the importance of ECAs and also the participation rate. And one point to note is the disagreement about the sources for improvements. It is really funny that the students of this survey said that they try to make improvement in their academic performance because of, the desire, to keep their face. Actually, when they involve in CEAs, they didn't want the other members to look down on them if they did poorly academically. That is, this finding went against the findings of previous studies because the other researcher believed that the improvement in academic performance or skills or something is because the relatedness, the connectedness between the student and the schools, their self-confidence, etc. Regarding the academic achievement, you can see that the findings have shared commonality and difference with the previous study as well. As for the skill development, you can see that there are a consensus between this finding, the finding of this research, and the findings of the previously published studies. We all agree that the student perform better and improve their skills after taking part in ECAs. They can improve different skills like communication, teamwork skill, problem-solving skill, improve their critical thinking skill and leadership skills. However, there's one point that we need to note. Students were certain about this. However, their teacher were not. And that is not the findings shared in other previously published findings. Turning to the student engagement, we could find out the agreement between this study findings or result with the earlier studies. That is, there are positive correlation between the two. If we have a look at the relationship between ECA and self-efficacy, there's a kind of mismatches found. As you can see that most of the previous findings confirm the positive correlation between ECAs and students' self-efficacy. The teacher of this survey did not agree that their student engagement could promote their self-efficacy, especially concerning the academic self-efficacy. Interviewing the teacher partly shed light on this matter. Most of the teacher involved in the survey said the student could not improve their academic self-efficacy because they could not allocate their time appropriately to two different tasks at the same time. And from their observation, the more students were engrossed in ECAs, the more absenteeism, the higher their absenteeism rate. They also missed some school assignment deadline And they often made excuse for this because they took part in ECAs. Regarding the relation between ECAs and employability, this research finding was similar to the earlier public ones. However, there's one point that different, that is the perception of student ability to change and become more adaptable to the job market. I would like to move to the administrator perceptions of ECAs. Actually, the administrators admit that ECA could reduce the drop rate while raising the admission rate. And this, of course, could change the existing culture of employing ECA in university in Vietnam. Because, you know, almost all the university in Vietnam care much about admission rate. Another point is, you know, that is about student satisfaction and credit rating of an institution. These, of course, were really important, especially when university in Vietnam are in the process of getting themselves accredited. Moving on to the next part, the mismatches between the student and teacher perceptions. They agree that there are positive impacts of ECAs on student development, and there are also negative impacts too. However, the positive impacts outnumber. Another point we would like to discuss is about the role of teachers in ECAs. In fact, the teacher were not quite sure about different statements and different items of the survey because we suppose that they were not well aware of their very important role in this process. So they need to take an active and the leading role as well, together with their students. Another point we want to discuss is about student engagement. So the school and the teacher need to do more to encourage more students to get involved because the participation rate was not high, especially the active participants. According to the administrators, having ECAs in the school program is not an obstacle. However, it really benefited all the stakeholders, so why not? Another point is ECE, of course, shouldn't be the job of the student only, because now in Vietnam, it seems that the student were the key members. From our research findings, I would like to recommend for further research. First of all, there should be more research conducted regarding the rationale behind the mismatch between the perception of students and teachers. And there should also research to be conducted on the factor behind the positive and negative impacts of ECAs on both the student and their institution. That is all for my presentation about my research finding. Thank you for listening. Bye.